So today I want to share some thoughts I've been having on. I don't know where they belong. They're not the normal mental factors that we study in mind and awareness, but they are qualities of mind that I find are really important to have in community, have with the Dharma. Things like open-mindedness, curiosity, humor, resilience, willingness. They're states of mind that, gosh, if you don't have them, living in community, practicing is suffering. And one of these qualities that I have struggled with, more so after I became aware of it, was my inability to be flexible. My need for predictability, my need for certainty, my need to be in control has been an albatross around my neck since I was a child. Even as a little girl, when I would read books, I'd get about halfway through the book or I'd get halfway through the movie and I'd have to go to the end of the book to find out what happened because the anticipation, the unknowingness was too scary for me to be able to handle. And so as a result, I've really, I needed to know how things were going to work out so that I could be prepared for them. There's this lack of preparation with life's things that happen. And as a result, I think part of my life, unknowingly, is that the need for certainty and predictability and stability, it kept me, a lot of times when it came to relationships to people, it kept me quite on the outside of really getting close, really getting involved. I didn't do the things like buy a home and get married and have children and own things. I had hardly not that many things to have. But there was this unintentional consciousness that wanted to control my life to a point where I wouldn't get scared of life. Now, being the nomad that I was, it seems to be an oxymoron, but I needed a certain level of predictability, and so I tried to run my life at the controls as much as I could. And then, of course, until I met the Dharma, I didn't realize that this was a strong source of suffering for me. It became a lot of mental unhappiness, a lot of restlessness, agitation, fear, the anxiety. When Venerable has said to me, like I said the last time, relax, Semke. That was dealing with this extreme need for stability and certainty and assurance. So then when I moved to the Abbey, it became very evident that I like things to go as planned, how I think they should go, or on schedule as stated, and only on rare occasion has this ever happened. So needless to say, I would have to admit right now in hindsight, I've heard it from a very dear friend, is that I was quite hard to live with. I was a control freak. Sergeant Joyce's effort comes from a grand need for predictability and being in control. But, living here, starting to see impermanence and change, what I would see in the beginning years is they were a source of huge chaos and disruption internally for me. I couldn't make those shifts. I couldn't make the changes. I couldn't make and they just happen. Things happen. The Dharma is dynamic. Life is dynamic. Karma is dynamic. Its momentariness demands some kind of engagement with it that is not going to make you crazy. And this need for predictability and this inability to be flexible with life's changes, particularly here in community, was a major source of a lot of angst and a lot of, I think, a lot of self-doubt, a lot of lack of compassion for myself and others. And it says by definition, flexibility is to be able to adapt, to a compromise, to change, to modify your thinking, your behavior as needed. And this has been really a conundrum for me. And that to be flexible is a huge part of the training here. There is no static way where life happens. There is nothing predictable about this place, no matter within the schedule, within the practice, within the food line, there is no predictability. So where my mind went a lot is that any change or a turn or shift anywhere brought this internally a lot of anxiety, externally a lot of micromanaging and tightness and powering over people. Why that was happening, why I needed to do that when it became very obvious to me that the entire samsaric existence is like shifting sands, I don't know where I got this extreme need, but I had it. So in the past 2 years, I've been clearly seeing that I've made some improvements. I've gotten a little bit more flexible, mostly because it's very tiring to hold the tsunami of impermanence in your mind when when you're trying to stand there with the gale force winds of samsaric impermanence, just shredding the clothes off your body, and you're kind of like, I want things to be predictable. I want to be in control. I want things to be certain. And I think mind training is definitely the best to go. And to understand that flexibility doesn't mean that you're a people pleaser. I'm starting to understand that flexibility, people pleasing has got strategizing. It's for the wrong reasons. But flexibility is because you really do want to support, you want to engage in your life, you want to really go with the flow, you want to move towards the impermanence of life and not to be aghast at it and taken aback by it and push back on it. And that it's a mental state that is very pliable. It's willing to give. It's willing to have some adaptability. And that is to bring harmony within my own life, within Dharma, within the ripening of my karma. If you can't be flexible and if you can't let go of predictability when you see the karma ripening in front of your eyes in your own life and in the life of the people around you, and you're going to want to fight that. It's a major pain maker. It's a major pain maker. So I'm going to give you an example. It's a very small example today, and this is where the improvement comes, but how tenacious this habit is of predictability and certainty. So this morning, I got up on the wrong side of the bed, all right, on a few levels. So I had a plan to keep my head low because I was pretty darn cranky and I was really tired. But the day before, I had made an offering service commitment to Venerable Manlam to get a particular task done that would help serve our little apple tree out there. So she came to me and asked about that, and of course I was like, oh man, I don't want to do that. Oh, okay, I'll do it. So then I get ready to go over there to do the offering service, and one of our dear friends says, oh, Venerable Semke, I have something important to do. I have to go and step away for 10 minutes, and I will come back. First of all, I had planned to keep my head low. Then I forgot the promise to work on the offering service. I'm already past my predictability ability right now because my head is kind of in the tank today. So I go off on her. It's like, what do you mean you're going to take 10 minutes of my time and go away, and I'm going to have to do this alone or with somebody else's help? The whole need for things to go the way in a 10-minute segment of my total existence in life has been disrupted because one of our guests has got the kindness to support a very important piece in our Abbey right now. Okay, so I go ahead and I kvetch in my mind. I say, okay, go do whatever, go. It took 10 minutes, the task. I had wonderful help. And I'm standing there going, what the hell is going on, Semke? Where's the flexibility? Where's the ability to go with the flow? Where's the ability to rejoice that somebody's got a talent that we can use and she's using it for the benefit of sentient beings? What's going on? So, but because I've known this mind so much, that I was able to just sort of turn it around and say, this isn't worth it. You have a habit that is simply not worth it. It's not worth it. It gets in the way of your bodhicitta. It gets in the way of your loving kindness. It gets in your way of totally engaging in joyous effort. So it's a good reminder to know that that's the kind of mind that I am still working with, and that predictability and the lack of flexibility is extremely self-focused. This is one of the qualities of the self-centered thought, the inability to go with the flow, the inability to adapt to the ever-changing circumstances of life, and the need to be in control. So afflictions do, for me, really impede this ability to be flexible. When I'm angry, when I'm narrow-minded, when I'm frustrated, when I'm holding tight to an idea that I want to have happen, there is no way that this mind can function. When do people? And then I say to myself, well, Semke, when do things go here the way that you've ever wanted them to? Where do people in this community ever respond or behave in exactly the way that you want them to when you engage with them? Come on, this is an assertion that you have that this predictability and this certainty can happen, that you don't need to be flexible, when in fact the reality is it is called for. It's required. So I'm meeting up against this old habit of mind with the truth of life, and the truth of being here in community is that there is no way that I can ever hold on to predictability the way that I have, and certainty and reassurance and stability and security. And that flexibility is the antidote. It brings the joy. It can sustain my bodhicitta. It can help me develop my bodhicitta, because the whole world is giving me a continual opportunity to meet it in its ever-changing impermanence. And when I lock my knees and I think it's supposed to go the way that I'm going and that the way I want it, I have made an 180-degree turn away from what is deeply, deeply meaningful and purposeful for me for the long term. So and we live with sentient beings, I mean, gosh, who are searching for happiness, are trying not to have suffering. And everybody does it differently. So where can flexibility not be helpful? Where can pliability, adaptability, the willingness to go with the flow, the willingness to just engage and be okay with what is, when is that not the best way to do it? And so this has been such a long process, I cannot tell you. And I think that flexibility is part of the method side of the path, because sometimes to understand where my mind is and how I understand the truth of the way things exist is not where it should be. And that flexibility comes with a lot of acceptance and self-acceptance. And I think flexibility also comes with the method side of the path. I think it just totally needs to imbue and just inform all that we do on the method side of the path. So I find that as years go on, I think also age has been a wonderful supportive friend to flexibility. That sometimes I would not be flexible because I had the energy not to be flexible and to be stubborn and to be bullheaded. And, now age has definitely softened that energy. And so now flexibility looks like a more efficient way to use my ever-decreasing energy. And in the back end, the joy that comes from engaging life with this kind of mind. It's a win-win situation. So I just wanted to share this. I mean, I wanted to become more of a natural response to the shifting sands of samsara. And I wanted to become the way in which I engage the ever-changing circumstances that happen here. And because everybody's growing moment by moment, I'm meeting you all as different people moment by moment. So the flexibility is needed to be able to meet you directly in the present moment as you are, as you're changing. And so that's kind of a commitment I've made to myself. And forgive me if it doesn't happen most of the time, but well worth the journey.